One that speaks to me the most is absent grief. Absent grief mainly because I don't like, and it's a bad thing, I don't like doing the emotional work. I don't, for me, it's just like, if I can avoid it, then I try by all means to avoid it. So, yes, at some point it will come back and bite me in the behind, I know. But absent grief, because I remember when, I don't know, even before my uncle passed away, I had the show must go on mentality. So yes, we're in COVID, but however, life needs to move on, you know. And even when my uncle passed, I still had that mentality. The show must go on, you know. I remember he passed away, and that evening, obviously, no one has time to cook, you know, and everyone was just a mess. So I then decided, okay, cool, I'm going to cook for the family. And so many things, obviously, like the leading up to the funeral were happening, and I sort of put myself in a position where I would offer to do things, mainly because I was running away from, as I said, the emotional work that I didn't and don't like doing. So absent grief, most definitely. I would also say ambiguous grief. Ambiguous grief. Like I like to sit and almost like fantasize. Not even to fantasize, but like to think of life before COVID, you know, and how, in a sense, like, yes, there were troubles, and yes, there were situations going on and everything, and life was doing what life does best, but there was a simplicity to life, you know. I didn't have to worry about potentially getting sick, or potentially like making someone sick, and even the stress of I didn't have to worry about all those things, you know. I'd leave my house without a mask on, I'd leave my house without sanitizing, I'd leave my house and not be stressed about like the person behind me in the line at the shopping mall being too close to me, you know, stuff like that. So there was just a sense of simplicity to life. So it's ambiguous in the sense that I do miss some of the things that were happening in my life before COVID happened. And I do sort of grieve and mourn for those things. You know, I do always like to think about how would life be if there wasn't any COVID? You know, would my life be any different without COVID and all those things? So those two definitely speak to me the most. Yeah.
And I think the other thing with grief, especially with these the big five, is that you'll usually find them in conjunction with one another. So like right now, well, not right now, but you said you were feeling absent grief, but it's almost like coupled with delayed grief, because
definitely,
like later on you'll start to feel like the grieving process, and there's so many things, like with the whole, so many losses that we've had, there's like cumulative grief that comes in, and then coupled with delayed grief, and then, you know, there's just, it's almost like they're all interlinked, and you kind of feel them all at the same time, just at like varying degrees. So that's I think my 2 cents about grief, is just that it seems to all be connected to one another.
No, definitely. And I think, you know, it's like, what's odd, né, is the fact that you'll think you've worked on something, and you'll just randomly be staring at flowers, and you're like, oh shoot, I need to go cry or something.